Hey folks, so I just wanted to make a quick little video about some things that I found that might help your sketch speed up. I could always type this out, but I figure it's easier to show you. This is an example file. I just have a bunch of images in here right now to basically make a large file size. So one of the things that Abstract doesn't like is like tremendously large file sizes. And tremendously large is like anything that's over probably like 100 megs, which is probably a pretty substantial size of a file. And so there's a really easy way to see how big your abstract file is because it is in one of those fun hidden folders. What you can do is go up to your menu bar up at the top here of your window. You want to right click and you want to select the folder that's right underneath what um, your file and your branch name is. And when you click on that, it's going to bring up a Finder window, and it's actually where that sketch file is located in your drive here. It's like way down there, and you can see that my file here is 77.1 megs, which is kind of like in the middle of that 50 to 100 range, which um, the abstract folks have told me through support tickets that's a good place to keep it around. If you do find that you're kind of like crushing files that are like larger than 100 megs, you might consider splitting up that file. So one of my main files started out around 180 megs that I inherited, and I've been slowly trying to parse it down into more um, bite-sized pieces so that autosave works much better. So yeah, that's how you find your file size. So if you think you have a big file, just right click on the top there, select the folder, and you can see right here 77.1 megabytes. That's cool. So that's tip number one. Tip number two is obviously um, to look at your plugins. Um, oh, it's on my other screen. Here we go. These are the plugins that I have running right now in Sketch, some of which I know about, one of which was this new design system manager, I didn't know. I turned that off and I found, because I'm not using it, I am using Craft, but this new design system manager, this spun up my machine for a good 5 minutes just to turn it off. And so I feel like this has made a little bit of progress. Also, just make sure that if you aren't using a plugin very often or you just forgot about it and you've never used it, just to deactivate it, and then possibly you can right click and you can say uninstall just to like clean that up. Everything else in here I use pretty regularly, so I'm going to keep it in there. So that's tip number two. Check out your preferences in your plugins. And the last thing that you can do is a lot of these images in here are JPEGs, but sometimes we like to bring in big, huge PNGs, and that can certainly add weight to your file. And one of the things that you can do, optionally if you wanted to, is tell Sketch to basically recompress all of the images. And you can do that by just going up to File and saying Reduce File Size. And it's going to prompt you and say, hey, the file size will be reduced by about 7 megs. So this is all about changing image resolutions. And if you hit reduce and then you were to save, let's say I'm going to save manually here, hopefully this little puppy here will show me, you know, a reduction in size. So I'm now down to 73, which wasn't exactly 7 megs because we were at 77.1, but it is some improvement. On files where you have a lot of PNGs, I've gained 15 to 20 megs easily just from screenshots that I've taken and thrown into my sketch document, and it keeps them at full size until you kind of like go in to reduce those file sizes. So yeah, that's about it. So check your plugins, check your file size, break up large files, and then obviously optionally you can go into reduce your file size. And I can't do that because they've already been reduced. Cool. Um, I hope that helps half a person or even a whole person. Thank you for coming to my talk.